Once again, video games and gamers have come under attack by the media, citing an extremely flawed study carried out by extremely inept researchers, and they claim that video games cause sexism. And the more time one spends on video games, the more likely he'll be to develop sexist attitudes. Allow me to explain why this is absolute nonsense.
The more time a teenage boy spends playing video games, the more likely he'll be to develop sexist attitudes, according to a study.
Now, they didn't cite the study, obviously, so I had to dig for it, and it was an absolute bastard to track down, despite it being cited by several media outlets, including The Telegraph. For those people interested, I'll link the study in the description for your convenience. But I completely reject this study and its findings. It's absolutely absurd to think it's an accurate representation of the gaming community at large, and you'll see why shortly.
French and U.S. researchers conducted the study by surveying 13,520 French youth between 11 and 19.
The study of sexism is on school kids between the ages of 11 and 19, and the mainstream media are taking this as a representation of all gamers. However, a report by the Entertainment Software Association shows that the average age of video game players is 35 years old, and boys under the age of 18 only make up 17% of gamers.
Participants answered questions related to the amount of time spent on video game play and their attitudes toward women.
The study in question shows the brilliant and insightful method it used to determine the level of sexism in these school children by asking a single question. Seriously, that's it, just one question on sexism. And that question was, a woman is made mainly for making and raising children. And they had to answer 1 to 4, fully disagree to fully agree. What the hell is an 11-year-old supposed to make of that question? Considering the most contact they'd be likely to have had with a woman would be their mother, who made and is currently raising them. But yeah, this totally proves that video games cause sexist attitudes. That's why there was absolutely no sexism in the world before video games. What?
Results from the study showed a positive correlation between gameplay and attitudes toward women.
Oh, there was a positive correlation, because correlation always proves causation, doesn't it? Like this graph, showing per capita cheese consumption and the number of people who die by becoming tangled in their bedsheets. Or this one, which clearly shows that margarine consumption is directly responsible for the divorce rates in Maine, because correlation always implies causation. And in a great article for Psychology Today by J Ferguson, which I'll link to in the description, finds that when you've controlled for the variables, the correlation for this study stands at less than 0.5%, while both the charts that I showed above have a correlation of well over 90%. I'm not claiming that these spurious correlations prove anything except correlation does not imply causation.
Researchers did acknowledge limitations to their research model in identifying the actual causes behind sexist attitudes in teenage gamers.
Credit where credit is due, I guess. This is one of the few media reports I've seen to mention that it's exclusively teenage gamers and the study wasn't perfect. But, obviously, as this didn't come out of the mouth of mainstream media, it's obviously fake news. I'm pretty sure that's how it works now. And I imagine the researchers themselves threw that in so they wouldn't be completely discredited in the eyes of their peers by this abortion of a study.
A similar study was published 2 years ago, but generally showed no correlation between long-term gaming and sexist attitudes.
Then I'm pretty sure that wasn't a similar study, as the study in question here was remarkably slapdash. If I'd have done a half-assed job on a study that has the accuracy of your average Twitter poll, I'd be embarrassed to show it to my cat, let alone publish my findings with my name behind it. And I don't even have a professional scientific reputation to maintain. Well, this video was significantly shorter than I expected it to be, but I hope I managed to thoroughly show you why I think this study is worth less than the paper the school questionnaires were printed on. So when it's quoted by the media to how it proves how awful video games are, you can have a hearty chuckle. So, lovely viewers, what other nonsense can you pin on video games? I personally think the World Wars wouldn't have happened if the Nazis hadn't got the idea of the Nazis from video games about the wars, or something. I'll put the answers that make me laugh the most at the end of my next video, and as always, thank you for your time.